Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 6 of Risen, starting a career in the arts. I'm very excited today to have Maureen. She is my friend and coworker here at Generator, and we will be discussing how you can get started with a career in the arts. We'll also be learning a little bit more about Maureen and the Generator Art Program. If you don't already, please make sure to follow Risen on Spotify and or YouTube if you're watching the episode on that channel. So Maureen, I'll let you take it away. How are you? How have you been?
I'm good. Thanks for talking to me today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited to have you on and share your life story with us and the art program here at Generator. I'd love to know what got you into the arts in the first place. What intrigued you about that realm of the creative world?
Yeah, so actually, kind of the funny story is I never actually intended to work in the arts. If you had asked like 20-year-old Maureen uh, what my career goals were, I was actually studying archaeology and anthropology. And so I wanted to be an archaeologist. I wanted to work at a natural history museum. You know, I wanted to work with collections of ancient artifacts and pottery, etc. And I decided to go to NYU for museum studies
Mhm.
to get my master's degree. And while I was there, I knew that there was art stuff happening around me. I knew there was a lot of contemporary art happening, but I didn't really know how to access it. And I decided to take one class called Museums and Contemporary Art, just out of curiosity.
Mhm.
And I met with the professor ahead of time just to like let him know that I knew nothing about contemporary art. Would that be a problem? And he said, no, we'd love to have you in the class. Here's some background reading to do ahead of time just so that you don't feel totally lost. And so I took the class and I absolutely loved it. And um, by the end of the semester, the professor took me aside and said, I have a friend who's opening an art gallery. Do you want to go be her intern?
Nice.
And I needed a job.
Mhm.
And I said yes. And the rest of my career has been in the contemporary arts. Um, and the first couple years working at this gallery, I didn't really know what was going on around me. I didn't know anything about contemporary art, but I was really fascinated and kept learning. And yeah, I fell in love with the contemporary art world. Yeah.
So it's kind of like a slow transition from archaeology into like a burning curiosity for contemporary art specifically.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think one of the things that
Oh, kitty.
really
Sorry.
yeah,
Hey,
my cat has
kitty.
joined us. She loves joining Zoom calls.
Oh, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think one of the things that really kind of got me interested in contemporary art is there's actually a lot of similarity in archaeology and anthropology,
Hmm.
thinking about material culture, and that is exactly what contemporary art is. It's
Right.
material culture of our time. Um, so I was really fascinated by kind of applying these theories that I was familiar with from archaeology and using them to examine contemporary art. And then also, I think my background in anthropology, again, like looking at societies and how people communicate and function in them, was really interesting because the contemporary art world is this weird subculture.
Hmm.
And so again, I was kind of like able to apply some of the things I knew from anthropology to better understand how the contemporary art world worked. Why are we placing value over this one thing on this one thing over
Hmm.
another? Um, why, all of these weird social rituals that come with
Hmm.
gallery worlds and interacting with artists. Um, yeah.
That's
Um,
awesome. Yeah, I think I also agree. I find contemporary art so fascinating because it has like multiple layers to it and it has like a deeper meaning that when you look at a contemporary work of art, your desire to want to kind of break it down further and understand what it's all about, but it's also like it has that societal concept to it and that societal commentary, which I also find really fascinating. So I definitely agree. It's very, very interesting. But that's awesome. I'm glad that you got into that shift and that you're enjoying what you're doing now. Which brings
Yeah.
me to you being the director of art at Generator for the Generator Art Program. Can you talk to us more about the program and who's eligible to apply? How does that work? Would love to know.
Yeah. Yeah. So for those who don't know, Generator is a venture capital company. And if you had asked me 5 years ago if I would ever work for a venture capital company, I would have said no. But in, when was this, 2018, 2019, Generator decided to start two programs. One is called Generator Art, the other is called Generator Music. And they were really interested in this idea of um, the creative economy. So thinking about what makes a certain community more interesting to investors, a better community to have startups and thriving businesses. And one of the key indicators of success for startups and investment in a community is whether or not there's a thriving art and music scene there.
Hmm.
Because the arts and culture scene really drives people to want to live there. It encourages young people to want to move to an area or stay in an area. And so Generator was kind of thinking through um, how to invest in the art and music world.
Right.
So they started Generator Art and Generator Music based off of this venture capital accelerator model,
Hmm.
which is basically giving funding and mentorship to small businesses over a short period of time to see if in a couple of weeks you can really help them accelerate their business.
Hmm.
So we're applying that same model to artists and musicians. So for the Generator Art Program, we give artists anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000, and they either go through a 7-week or a 12-week accelerator where we focus on the business side of being an artist.
Hmm.
So we talk about things like how to price your artwork, how to create a checklist, how to properly ship and store and care for your art, how to connect with new art collectors, um, how to write your artist statement, all sorts of things that are really necessary foundations for an artist to be successful in the commercial realm, in the
Hmm.
contemporary art market.
Right.
I'm not necessarily saying that it's necessary to be creatively successful,
Hmm.
but this is particularly geared towards artists who are interested in having their artwork as their primary source of income.
Right. For sure. That's awesome. And I think Generator offers a lot of great opportunities that I feel like people may not necessarily know about or haven't fully taken advantage of. So I do want to ask you about the application process, I guess, in itself, if we're allowed to talk about that. I've been a
Yeah.
generator for 2 years now, but I'd love to get a better understanding there. So is the art program, I guess, specifically geared towards artists in the Madison, Wisconsin area, or like let's say for example, I'm from the New England area. I live in Massachusetts. So let's say I'm a contemporary artist, identify as a contemporary artist. I have work that I've been um, worked, establishing over time, and I'd like to have it exposed, give it more exposure, distribute it, have mentors kind of help me out and support me in that area. Would I be able to apply, or like how does that process work? And
Yeah.
from the applicant standpoint.
Exactly. So we have kind of a couple different layers. At this point, the Art Accelerator investing mentorship part is specifically for artists in the Milwaukee area, Milwaukee,
Okay.
Wisconsin.
Hmm.
Um, Over the past couple of years, we've kind of had different parameters of who's able to apply. For a couple of years, it was open to artists throughout all of Wisconsin.
Hmm.
Um, a couple of years we had some spots available for artists from outside of Wisconsin. Currently, right now, it is specifically for Milwaukee-based artists. We
Hmm.
are hoping to expand that over the next couple of years, to expand to different communities. But the application eligibility process, even if you are not in the Milwaukee area, we still have a ton of resources that are available to artists who aren't going through the accelerator program.
Hmm.
So we do a series of professional development webinars. We usually do anywhere from 4 to 6 per year. All of those are available online as well. So we do things like artist statement writing workshops, talking to a registrar about how to pack and ship your artwork,
Mhm.
um, interviews with curators and museum directors and gallerists about how to work with folks in the art world. So all of those are available to any artist who is interested in engaging with that. We
Awesome.
also offer office hours where you can go on our website, sign up online, and spend 20 minutes speaking to either myself or my colleague Darius.
Mhm.
And we can help you navigate whatever difficulties you're having in the art world. So that's open to the general public. The accelerator program is specifically at this point for Milwaukee-based
For
artists.
Milwaukee-based grads. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad to know that there are open resources available for artists, even if they're not in that location, that they can just go in and reach out to you or Darius, go
Mhm.
online, generator.com/art, and find out more information there. But that's awesome, Maureen. I appreciate that insight. I actually didn't really I didn't know
Oh,
that. Like I said, I've been working here for 2 years and I didn't know, but that's great. So kind of branching off of the program itself, right? I'm sure you've worked with a lot of artists. You've gotten to know them a little bit better through their exhibitions and all that. Are there particular artists that you've remained close with over time? Any specific, I guess, artwork that you've been really fond of and connected with over time? I know that it's bad to have favorites. It's not good to have
I,
favorites, but
we all
just
have our
wondering.
favorites.
Just
I
wondering what your thoughts are there.
Yeah, at this point now, I was actually just counting the other day. I think I've worked with over 40 artists through our program
Wow,
in various capacities
that's awesome.
in the 4 years that I've been here.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think one of the things that I really love is even if the artists and I are working together closely for just a short period of time, 7 weeks, 12 weeks, we we still stay in touch. It's not like that relationship ends.
Right.
Uh,
Hmm.
and so, yes, there are artists that I worked with my very first year working at Generator Art, and I'm still in touch with them. Um, they still feel like they can contact me if they have questions about things like loan agreements,
Hmm.
if they're reaching or if they're wondering how to reach out to a specific collector. For example, there was an artist I worked with in probably, when was this, 2021.
Hmm.
And we've stayed in touch since. And she reached out to me a couple of weeks ago saying she was working with a gallery and wanted my advice on um, how to negotiate with the gallery,
Hmm.
basically on pricing her artwork. And so, yeah. Do you want me to like name some
Yeah.
of my
Yeah. I
favorites?
mean, yeah, it's a free for all.
Um, let's see here. So Phoenix Brown is
Hmm.
a really truly amazing artist slash curator in the Milwaukee area.
Hmm.
And it's really interesting to see her grow both as an artist and as a curator
Hmm.
in the Milwaukee area.
Sure.
Um, let's see here. Leandra Lesueur is a really interesting performance artist that I had the pleasure of working with my first year.
Hmm.
Um, and I was actually just thinking about her because, oh, pardon me, my cat is sneezing.
Oh, it's all good.
Um, uh, I was just thinking about her because we were working together. So we worked together during the 12-week accelerator, but we got together last year to apply for a grant to potentially make one of her projects come to life in Milwaukee.
Hmm.
So that sort of thing is always really fun and exciting to be a part of.
For sure.
And then, actually, I, I could talk about the artists I work with all day, every
Yeah,
day.
yeah, for sure.
But there's another really wonderful artist, Meg Lionel Murphy, who I had the pleasure of working with last year. Um, but she just had an exhibition that opened 2 weeks ago.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was really fun to kind of work with her behind the scenes as she was preparing for this exhibition and then to see it come to
Come to
fruition.
life. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really nice.
Throughout the 12 weeks, correct? The 12-week
Mhm.
program. That's
Yes.
awesome. And
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, I think we touched upon this, but obviously Generator Art focuses primarily on contemporary art. Do you accept primarily like 2D art versus like installation pieces, or like how does that work essentially?
So we are open to working with all different art forms.
Okay.
And we've actually been kind of playing with the idea of changing our language to say creative professionals rather than
Mm-hmm.
artists,
Mm-hmm.
because we have started to work with people who kind of fall more under the realm of design. So
Gotcha.
fashion design,
Mm-hmm.
ceramics, uh, and then we've also worked with people who are filmmakers,
Mm-hmm.
performance artists. So yeah, we're
It's
kind of
expanding. It's
yeah,
expanding. Yeah,
we're
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of playing with some language to make sure that people feel like they're included under the umbrella of
Right.
artists.
Right.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah, for sure. And even this podcast is about, all everything art related, everything within that realm, whether it's art, 2D, 3D,
Mhm.
design, acting, filmmaking, all that. It's under that same umbrella, to make sure it's all inclusive and people understand that Risen is all about that. And also I on this podcast I offer self-help advice, which I think has been really beneficial for some of my listeners for sure. But
Yeah.
that's awesome, Maureen. I'm glad you've had such a great experience in the Generator Art program, and your transition has helped you understand contemporary art more, and you've been able to connect with these artists on a different level. I'd love to wrap the episode with advice that you have for creative professionals. What you would say to them, or what you would say to even your younger self, right? Like, how can I pursue this career? Um, Unfortunately, some people may not necessarily have the support that they deserve and that they need in today's world. So just wondering like what advice you would give to those people, and even to your younger self, younger Maureen.
Yeah. Well, first of all, yeah, younger Maureen would not even realize that there were careers in the arts to begin with.
Hmm.
Um, I think there's kind of this understanding of the starving artist or
Hmm.
you know, starving arts professionals. You're dedicating your life to the arts, and therefore you're stuck in a life of noble poverty or
Hmm.
whatever. Um, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
And I think for artists who are just getting started and don't necessarily feel like they have access to resources, um, you don't have to go to art school to work in the arts or be an artist.
Hmm.
I think, and maybe I'm just biased because I kind of educated myself about the contemporary art world.
Hmm.
Um, but even if you don't live in a major art city, there are still going to be galleries near you, probably. You can look online, you can start researching on your own.
Sure.
You don't physically need to be in a major art capital to like understand what's happening in the contemporary art world.
Hmm.
You can read things online, you can look at almost every museum has recorded artist talks
Hmm.
with some of the artists that they've worked with. Um, a lot of galleries, if you go on their website, will have recordings or information about the artists that they represent.
Sure.
Um, you know, um, you can look at the New York Times art reviews.
Hmm.
You can go to the library and get old copies of Art Forum or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, and all of those are ways that I think you can kind of educate yourself, see what other artists are doing, and and learn from that.
For sure.
Yeah, so
Learn through others, like testimonials and their experiences
mhm,
as well, and
mhm.
what they've gone through.
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly.
Awesome.
That, and I feel like within the past decade or so, there's been kind of this movement of you don't necessarily have to be living in a major city. You can to let people know what your artwork is like. You can
Yeah.
share it over Instagram, websites. There's a lot more interest in sharing your art virtually, and I think that really opens up opportunities for artists who aren't
To
necessarily
expose, yeah, to
exposed.
expose themselves more. And I think social media has grown into that outlet too, of like helping with self promotion, and all
Exactly.
that, making connections in that way as well. So that's definitely
Yeah.
a good
Yeah.
way to look at it too. And the resources that you mentioned too, like articles, magazines, just getting yourself out there more, going to expositions, meeting other creative professionals in the field as well, I think is really, really helpful too.
Yeah.
Um,
And I can't emphasize enough the importance of networking and learning
mhm.
from other folks in the community. Um, yeah. Physically showing up to gallery openings if you can, talking to people, inviting yourself over to other artist studios,
Yeah.
learning from them. Yeah, it's all
And
important.
going from there. Yeah, for sure. I agree. I agree. Definitely. Well, Maureen, thank you so much for being on the episode. I really appreciate your time. It was great learning more about you, your career, your journey, and I'm sure those listening to the episode are going to find this very, very valuable and give them some light of hope that, as creative professionals, we just got to reach out. We got to put ourselves out there, not be afraid to give ourselves more exposure, but also like reach out to other people who are in the same field and make
Mhm.
connections and go from there. But is there a way we can contact you through Generator? You have office hours, right? So
Yes.
the Generator website. Mm-hmm.
Yes, so it's generator.com/art.
Or
And then you can also email me directly at maureen@generator.com.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much, Maureen. What's your cat's name so I can include
Oh,
them in the thumbnail?
my cat's name is Prada. It's short for
Prada.
Prada Marfa, which is an art installation in Marfa, Texas. Um,
Ah.
and she's really old. She's about 17 or 18 years old now.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
wow. That's
yeah.
awesome. That's such an adorable name, Prada. Wow. I'm gonna include Prada in the thumbnail for the video
Okay.
and I'll share it with
Yes.
you afterwards. But
Please, please
yeah,
do. Please do.
yes, I
Yes.
will.
Goodness.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Maureen. I really appreciate your time and I will talk to you soon. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you all for listening in and take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
See ya.